You won't understand the depth of this retreat, that's why you're disconnected until I return. I didn't react, but when she returned expecting tranquil privacy, she found a meticulously orchestrated disclosure awaiting her. My job as a private investigator changed me. I learned to see the world in layers of truth and deception, to read people not by what they say, but by what they hide. My girlfriend of 3 years, Jessica, always said my job made me too jaded. The truth is my job did not make me jaded enough. Our relationship, I thought, was my one impenetrable fortress against the world I operate in. It was the one place I didn't have to look for hidden agendas. We were partners, we lived in my house, paid for with a decade of long nights and perilous assignments. We had shared ambitions. I trusted her implicitly. In my line of work, trust is the highest currency, and I had invested every ounce of it in her. The problem started with an invitation, a 7-day, spiritual wellness retreat to the Isle of Serenity, with her 3 closest friends. There was Lauren, the orchestrator, twice divorced and always seeking an angle. There was Becca, the echo, who amplified Lauren's every pronouncement, and there was Chloe, quiet, but always observing and calculating. I did not like them. They were ostentatious, superficially spiritual, and treated Jessica like a recent convert, constantly reminding her of exploits supposedly abandoned for a grounded man like me. A few days before the retreat, helping Jessica pack, I asked for facility details and the itinerary. For emergencies on such a remote location, she turned to me, a peculiar, distant look in her eyes. That's not something you need to know, Mark, she said, unnervingly even. I was taken aback. What do you mean? I just want to know where you'll be. She crossed her arms, a subtle shift, her voice taking on a sharp, rehearsed cadence. It's a digital detox, Mark. The entire purpose is to disconnect from everything and everyone, including you. You don't need to know what happens on a spiritual journey. That's why you're disconnected until I return. I just stared at her, disconnected. She wasn't just asking for privacy, she was declaring a week-long information embargo, drawing a stark boundary between her life and ours. I didn't react, didn't raise my voice, didn't challenge her. In my profession, when someone constructs a barrier, you identify a path around it. My mind, rigorously trained, transitioned to professional mode. The invested partner was suspended. The investigator had clocked in. Okay, I said, my voice perfectly modulated. Betraying no emotion. I understand. Have a transformative time. Her confident, almost challenging expression faltered for a fraction of a second, replaced by uncertainty. She had anticipated an argument, desired one. A contentious exchange would have provided righteous justification. My facile agreement left her with no resistance. She left the next morning. I drove her to the departure gate for her private charter flight. She was effervescent, excited, already immersed in her vacation persona. As she exited the vehicle, she leaned in for a perfunctory kiss. Don't miss me too profoundly, she murmured with a knowing smile. I'll reconnect when I'm back and unblock you. I won't, I stated. She chuckled, misinterpreting my statement as facetious. I watched her walk into the exclusive terminal, her designer weekender bag trailing. Then I drove away. I did not go home. I went directly to my secure office. The investigation had already commenced. She thought she was entering a 7-day information vacuum. She had no comprehension that I was about to illuminate her clandestine world with unsparing clarity. She expected me to be awaiting her return with open arms. She was correct. In a way, I would not be physically present, but she was about to discover precisely who was truly waiting for her. Update 1. 10 days since Jessica departed. For her, a week of curated posts, fabricated narratives, and calculated omissions. For me, a week of quiet, surgical precision, work I excel at. First, I ran the private charter details. Lauren had posted a picture of the 4 of them on the tarmac. The aircraft's holding company, a labyrinthine corporate structure, led to a familiar name, Scott, Jessica's ex-fiancé, a man she had vehemently claimed to despise, asserting he had shattered her trust, had recently acquired the Isle of Serenity, rebranding it as an exclusive, digital detox haven. My intel showed Scott was embroiled in a contentious lawsuit regarding intellectual property theft from his former tech startup. Interesting, Jessica had told me the retreat was a modest, philanthropic venture. Financial records for the Isle of Serenity told a profoundly different story. No public client lists, but the facility's power consumption and bandwidth usage, tracked via proprietary satellite feeds, indicated an operation far more sophisticated than a simple wellness center. Financial transactions, routed through offshore accounts, hinted at revenue streams far exceeding standard hospitality offerings. The picture was already unsettlingly clear. Disconnection was not an impediment, it was a categorical affirmation of deep-seated perfidy. She believed it would maintain my ignorance. Instead, it afforded me the operational latitude to dismantle the illusion of the unsuspecting partner without maintaining pretense. Her friends, however, were not nearly as circumspect, predictably overconfident. Becca, the reflexive follower, had an active, public social media presence. She was an unceasing conduit of actionable intelligence, disseminating a constant stream of pictures and videos. They were all meticulously framed to project serene contemplation and rejuvenating escape. Yoga poses at sunrise, meditating by a waterfall, a selfie in front of a banyan tree, but amateurs invariably make critical errors. In the blurred reflection of Becca's ornate teacup, I discerned the distinct, metallic glint of a specialized satellite uplink antenna, positioned for high-speed data transfer. In a video from a purported nature walk, I detected a faint, rhythmic humming sound, inconsistent with island acoustics, but similar to industrial-grade server racks. The most significant misstep was a photo Chloe posted. A group shot at a candlelit, unplugged dinner. In the background on the wall was a distinctive, hand-carved wooden panel depicting an ancient glyph. Reverse image search, cross-referenced with architectural databases for exclusive, fortified private estates, took less than 3 minutes. The glyph was a proprietary symbol for an elite, invitation-only data storage facility, discreetly operated by Scott's former tech startup, now at the heart of the intellectual property dispute. A facility designed for secure, off-grid data exfiltration. I made discreet inquiries, my contacts in digital forensics, individuals indebted to me, confirmed it. The Isle of Serenity was not merely a retreat, it was a sophisticated, remote data harvesting operation. Its primary guests were high-net-worth individuals, specifically Adam Cole, a senior investment partner with access to highly sensitive financial algorithms and client portfolios. Scott was leveraging Jessica's past connection and her friend's social engineering skills to compromise Adam Cole's data. Jessica was an active participant in this corporate espionage. This was not a spiritual retreat, it was a meticulously planned data raid. She was a willing asset in a criminal enterprise targeting a wealthy man and his associates. The entire trip, the enforced secrecy, the deliberate disconnection, it was all an intricate cover for a deeply criminal life entirely separate from mine. The final piece of the puzzle was the most chilling. In one of Lauren's live streams, a fleeting shot of Jessica was visible. She was laughing, holding a tablet, clearly receiving instructions from a man. I couldn't see his face, but his voice was distinct, authoritative. I isolated the audio, cleaned it, and ran it through voice analysis. It matched a sample from a deposition transcript in Scott's intellectual property lawsuit. The voice belonged to Scott, the man she had told me she despised, who she said had cheated on her and broken her heart. He was not just the island owner, he was the orchestrator, and Jessica was his willing accomplice. The entire thing was a lie, a complex, multi-layered, predatory deception. She hadn't just gone on a trip without me, she had gone to actively participate in a criminal conspiracy with her ex-fiancé, leveraging her connections, all while feigning inner peace. My course of action was unequivocally clear. This was not a situation for a conversation, it demanded a public, irrefutable, trajectory-altering consequence. I began with Adam Cole's wife, Catherine. I ran an updated background check. She was a respected pediatric surgeon, a devoted mother, seemingly unaware of her husband's digital vulnerabilities. I didn't contact her directly. Instead, I compiled a comprehensive digital dossier, forensic evidence of the data exfiltration attempt, illicit financial transactions linked to the Isle of Serenity, and social media photos, including ones showing her husband with Lauren and server room equipment. I sent the file to a renowned corporate security and family law attorney in her city, along with an anonymous, encrypted note. You might want to show this to your client, Catherine Cole. It seems her husband's digital footprint is more exposed than she knows, and not just to his business associates. Next, I dealt with Scott, the ex-fiancé and mastermind, a real estate developer. His true ambition was illicit data arbitrage. Public and private records showed he was preparing for a major presentation at the International Cybersecurity Summit, attempting to rebrand himself as a legitimate tech innovator. I have a friend who is a senior analyst at the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specializing in cybercrime. I sent him an anonymous, untraceable tip about a real estate developer funding his lavish lifestyle and remote island operations with other people's intellectual property and illicit data harvesting. I included Scott's name, the coordinates for the Isle of Serenity, and highly technical details about his data exfiltration methods. Finally, I prepared for Jessica's return. She was due to land on Tuesday evening. She had texted me from a friend's burner phone a few days ago, feeling so refreshed. Can't wait for real connection. Pick me up at 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Will unblock you when I'm on the plane. I replied, acknowledged. She expected me, a warm embrace, a tender kiss, a quiet drive home where she would recount sanitized stories about her journey. She had no conception of what actually awaited her. I located the one person with more right to expose Scott's true nature than I did. It took 3 days, but I found her, Scott's live-in girlfriend, Emily, an architectural historian. She had no idea her boyfriend was orchestrating an elaborate corporate espionage scheme. He had told her he was attending an advanced AI conference in Singapore. I called her. It was the hardest call I'd made, not for me, but for the stark reality I was about to unveil. I told her who I was and what I'd uncovered. I sent her the evidence, audio files of Scott's instructions, forensic reports of data theft, pictures implicating Jessica and her friends, financial records of the shell corporations. She was silent, then wept, but after tears came formidable rage mirroring my own. I told her about Jessica's flight, her landing time, and made a proposition. She is expecting me to be there, I said, but I think you are the one she should confront first. Emily agreed without hesitation, so the stage was set, the actors were in place. Jessica's flight was scheduled to land in 12 hours. She expected a triumphant return. She had no idea she was about to walk into an unceremonious dismantling, her own. Update 2. The events of the past few days were more intricately layered and viscerally satisfying than I could have engineered. The International Finance Summit, where Adam Cole was delivering his keynote, was not just a venue for confrontation. It was a complete unraveling, and I was the unseen conductor. Miles away, I was at home, monitoring through a live, encrypted feed from a private security contractor I had strategically placed, posing as an event photographer. Jessica's flight landed on schedule. I watched as she and her 3 friends, impeccably styled and radiating a false sense of renewed enlightenment, emerged from private transport into the grand lobby of the convention center, tanned, exuding understated superiority, and conspicuously devoid of shopping bags, replaced by sleek, minimalist accessories. Jessica subtly checked her discreet earpiece, a faint smile playing on her lips, likely confirming her next move, expecting orchestrated reintegration into polite society. As they navigated the throng of financial luminaries and journalists in the main reception hall, I saw Emily. She stood there, radiating quiet resolve, holding a pristine, professionally mounted display board. On it was a crystal-clear, forensically verified print I'd acquired, a detailed network diagram depicting data flow from Adam Cole's corporate servers to Scott's private island facility, with Jessica's encrypted communication logs highlighting her role in the infiltration. Jessica saw Emily first, her composed smile fractured, her face paled dramatically. She stopped dead in her tracks, her friends, still chattering animatedly, nearly colliding with her. They followed her rigid gaze to Emily, then to the damning evidence she held. The quiet confidence evaporated. Emily did not shout, she did not create a scene, she simply stood, allowing undeniable facts to speak for themselves, amplified by data security experts and federal agents subtly positioning nearby, blended seamlessly into the summit's security detail. The reception hall, normally buzzing, developed a small, electrifying bubble of silence and intense drama around them, rapidly drawing reporters. People paused, stared, covertly raising phones. Jessica attempted to regain composure. She began to pivot, pretending not to recognize Emily, her eyes darting frantically, but Emily was comprehensively prepared. She took a deliberate step forward, her voice clear and resonant, loud enough for every influential ear around them to hear. "Scott sends his apologies," Emily stated, her gaze unflinching. "He couldn't be here to witness your triumphant return himself. He's a little preoccupied explaining this entire network to the FBI." Jessica's friends looked at her, their faces a mixture of initial shock and dawning horror. They had been integral to the deception, now directly in the blast radius of its public exposure. At that exact moment, two individuals in discreet suits, clearly federal agents, stepped forward. They walked directly up to Jessica, then to Lauren, Becca, and Chloe. Jessica Miller, Lauren Vance, Rebecca Sterling, Chloe Thorne. One agent asked, his voice professional and authoritative. They each offered stunned nods. "You have been implicated," he said, handing each a thick legal document. Inside each envelope was a formal subpoena for questioning regarding corporate espionage and data theft. For Jessica, an additional document, a restraining order, preventing her from contacting me or coming within 500 feet of my residence or business. The combination of the public denouncement, federal investigation, and legal documents was overwhelming. Jessica visibly crumbled. She dropped her designer accessories, buried her face in her hands, and began to emit a silent, guttural sob. Her friends did not rush to offer comfort. They grabbed their own minimal bags and scattered, melting into the crowd like rats from a rapidly sinking ship. They wanted no part of the highly illegal mess they had actively helped create. My security contractor's camera captured the entire sequence. The beautiful, self-assured woman who had so confidently disconnected me from her life just 10 days earlier was now standing in a prestigious convention center lobby, surrounded by the elite of the financial world, completely and utterly isolated, facing federal scrutiny. Final update: 6 months since the summit's stark unveiling, the dust has settled, meticulously swept away, leaving a pristine, unblemished slate. I compile this update not to revel in past events, but to definitively close this chapter and chronicle the ultimate, quiet ramifications of a sequence of very public betrayals. My life progressed unexpectedly. After the initial, potent satisfaction of retribution subsided, I was left with an unexpected void. I had unequivocally prevailed, but the victory felt curiously hollow. So much professional existence discerning deception, I had perhaps forgotten how to perceive inherent goodness. Emily, Scott's former partner, helped me recalibrate that perspective. We remained in contact after the summit, two individuals profoundly betrayed by the same intricate web of lies. We found peculiar, resonant comfort in that shared, bitter experience. We began with casual coffee, progressed to dinner, deliberately discussing everything, except our connection's catalyst. We conversed about professions, families, unspoken aspirations. I discovered a woman intrinsically kind, with dry wit and incredible, quiet strength. We are now in a committed relationship, developing deliberately, characterized by careful consideration, meticulously constructed upon an unshakable foundation of absolute, transparent honesty. It is the most authentic, tangible element in my life. The individuals who instigated such pervasive chaos, however, have arrived at their own, fitting conclusions. Adam Cole's corporate standing was irrevocably damaged. Internal and federal investigations, triggered by my evidence, revealed his firm's security vulnerabilities and reckless oversight. He lost his executive position, substantial personal net worth to legal fees and fines, and his entire professional reputation is in ruins. Catherine, empowered by my disclosures, successfully negotiated a comprehensive asset protection plan for her children. Lauren, prominently featured in federal subpoenas, became a social pariah, actively avoided by influential circles. Scott's legal troubles intensified. The FBI's full-scale investigation into his data arbitrage operations uncovered a far-reaching criminal enterprise. He is currently facing multiple federal indictments and severe criminal charges. He has lost everything, and Jessica, her narrative is the most subdued and, in certain respects, the most poignant. After months residing with her humiliated parents, she secured a low-level administrative position and moved into a cramped, nondescript apartment. She is attempting to rebuild her life, but in profound isolation. Her erstwhile friends never returned, her personal and professional reputation never recovered. I received one final communication from her 3 months ago, a lengthy, handwritten apology, forwarded by my legal counsel. She offered no excuses, no plea for a second chance, simply owned her actions. She wrote that the public exposure at the summit was the most devastating day of her life, but also the day she was compelled to confront herself, to see the person she had become, an individual who valued superficial validation more than unwavering trust. She wrote that she was actively engaged in therapy, genuinely hoping to evolve into someone she could be proud of. She concluded the letter stating she didn't anticipate forgiveness, but was truly remorseful for the profound pain she had inflicted upon me. I read the letter, and for the first time, felt neither anger nor bitter satisfaction. I simply felt a profound sense of ultimate closure. I believe her apology was sincere, but I also firmly believe that some things, once shattered so completely, cannot ever be meticulously reassembled. My retribution was not solely about unmasking a lie. It was about forcing a collective of individuals who existed within an elaborate illusion to confront an undeniable, brutal moment of truth. The International Finance Summit was a meticulously chosen stage, and on that stage, they were all irrevocably compelled to shed their masks. What remained was utterly unappealing. I do not reflect upon them anymore. My life is rich and fulfilling. I have a partner I implicitly trust, a business I am profoundly proud of, and a pervasive sense of inner peace I have not experienced in years. I still perceive the world in its complex layers, but now I am far more adept at discerning the inherent good alongside the inherent deception. Jessica believed she could disconnect me for 7 days. She did not comprehend that in doing so, she unwittingly provided me with the precise space and impetus to construct an entirely new firewall. One that would eternally safeguard my life from her particular brand of chaos, and behind that fortified wall, everything is tranquil, everything is secure.